Hello friends, in this session we will discuss about the Fetch API in JavaScript. So basically Fetch is an inbuilt API of JavaScript which you can use to manage your async operations like API call. Okay. So earlier before the Fetch API there was XML HTTP request which we use to fetch our API means to access our API data. Okay. So we will show you how XML HTTP request were earlier worked. So for that, let's suppose we will have an API for demo, okay, for them which will return some dummy data, okay. So we will use the get API, okay. So we have this API, okay. Now we have an variable here xhr equal to new xhr request, okay. Then we will have xhr dot on ready state change, okay. So you can have, okay, and then you will check the ready status. If xhr dot ready state equal to 4, then you have to check your status code for response. Hr dot status equal to 200. Okay, then you can console your output console.log xhr dot response. Okay, so here you will get the response. Okay, now this is on the if the API is success. Okay, then you will get this inside this one. Okay, now we'll have to xhr dot you can use this much things here. Okay, so xhr that dot open, we will use open. Okay, and we will pass the type, we will use the get. Okay, and we will have the URL here. Okay, then call it async. If you want to use it async, then you can pass it through. Okay, now you have to call, when you call the xhr dot send, then your API will be invoked, and in console you can see the output of that API, of this get API. This is the thing which is coming from the API. If you will change in some API, let's suppose you will have different data. Okay, if you have multiple response, if you can get this one. Okay, so basically this was the earlier version of XML HTTP request which we were using. Okay, so before Fetch API we were using this. Okay, now there is Fetch API. Okay, which is more convenient to use, and you don't have to write this much line of code. Okay, if you have to get the response, you have to simply call the fetch and you will get this as asynchronous promise. Okay, then you will have to use the promise, resolve the promise using the then. Okay, and you will have to convert the response into JSON, and then you have another chain for getting the exact request result. Okay, and here you will have URL, and here you can console.log your response, that means X. Okay, so you can see we have got the result. Okay, same result. The thing is that Fetch is more convenient to use rather than XML HTTP request. But the thing is that XML HTTP request and fetch both have some differences. Okay, some pro and cons. Okay, so we will discuss that later. And now, if you want to do post, then you can use optional parameter request in it. Okay, so you can pass some objects here. Okay, if you want to get the post. Okay, so what are the things that you can pass in that we can discuss. Okay, so for that I can show you. See, what are the parameters you can pass? Okay, inside your fetch as optional. Okay, when you will use the post, put, delete. Okay, then you have to pass this. If you don't pass this one, the by default URL will be get. Okay, if you have to make the post, put, or delete batch, you can have to use this object. Okay, where you can define your method type post. You can define mode, course. Options are no course, course same origin. Okay, you can also define to cache your API. Okay, so default no cache, reload, force cache, only if cache. Okay, so these are the options you can use. You can pass credentials, same origin, include, omit. Okay, then you have some headers with content type. You can pass the content type. Okay, if you have form URL included, then you can pass like this. Form data, if there is form data. Okay, you can pass as well. And inside headers you can set your authentication token, JWT token. Okay, and you can have redirect, follow, manual, or error. Okay, then you can have a refer policy, no refer when downgrade or origin. These are the things which can be optional in your refer policy. Okay, and at last you have body, in which we have to send the string form data. So if you have JSON, then you have to convert it into string. Okay, the body data type must match content type. So basically we have content type is application JSON. So we are just sending the JSON but in form of string. Okay, so this is the examples of the parameters which you can set inside your fetch. Okay, so if you have created your fetch with if you have created your function with async, then you can use the await to get your response here. Okay, and then you can return your response with JSON converting, and you can receive inside this data. Okay, so basically these are all the parameters. Okay, so what we will discuss next. See, if you want to, how can you, let's suppose in XHR we can get the status here 200, so we can check here. So in fetch, where we can check the status? Okay, so the question is where we can check our status. Okay, so your status will be here in the first. Then okay, so here if you console your X, you will get your all exact response coming from API. Okay, so you can see we have this much. Okay, that whole response. Okay, where you can see the status text. Okay, okay, if okay is true, that means it is okay. If you have got the correct response, and you have method JSON, headers, form data, clone, body. Okay, readable string is there inside the body. You have blog, array buffer. So you have the URL status everything whatever is in the response you will get exactly. Okay, type is course. Okay, so from here you can check whether the whatever the thing you want to send. Okay, if you want to send something like status, then you can send a status, and if you want to send data, then x.json will be your body data. Okay, and you can return it. Okay, so if you want status inside your result, then you can do like that. You can return status and data, and you will get whatever in your result. That data in promise. Okay, data will be in promise and the status will be 200. Okay, so this is the way to use the fetch API. So what we will use now, we will discuss about the differences. Okay, so what are the differences in fetch versus normal HTTP XSR HTTP request? Okay, so we will discuss about that. So we will show you the differences. Okay, so we have noted down the differences so you can easily get it. Okay, so in fetch we are missing an inbuilt method to consume documents. Okay, so in fetch we don't have any inbuilt method to consume documents. No way to set timeout yet inside fetch. Okay, can't override the content type response header. You have to set the override. Okay, if the content length response header is present but not exposed, the body's total length is unknown during the streaming. Okay, will call the signals abort handler even if the request has been completed. Okay, no upload progress in fetch. Okay, you can use the cache API with the request and response objects, which is in Pro. You can perform no course request, which is again a Pro, and streaming responses. So you can then use then dot then. So we have the streaming response. Okay, and in XHR there is no way to send cookies. Okay, this is optional. You can use. Can't return form data instance. Don't have an equivalent to fetch. No course mode. Always follow redirects. Okay, about a request, we can abort a request in XHR and we can track the progress in XHR, which is not possible in fetch till now. Okay, so these are the points which makes differ from XHR to fetch. So main thing is it can report progress, it can't, and another main is it can abort, it can't abort, and third one is that it can use no course, where there is no mode for coursing. Okay, so in this session we have discussed the fetch API and versus XML HTTP request, which was used in earlier. Okay, so we have discussed the simplest way to achieve the responses in the fetch API and also with the XHR request. Okay, so subscribe our channel for coming more videos on JavaScript topics. Okay, stay tuned and thanks for watching this session.